So now let's look at how we can pass the data from child to the parent. Okay, right now we have a child which is app child, and the app component is the parent component. So let's pass the data from child component to the parent component now. Okay, so what we can do is, let's add a button. And we'll add a click event. So what we will call this is emit value to parent. Okay, and so we should have something over here in the parent child class. For this particular function, when we click that button, let's check whether we got the button, or we have the button but we don't have anything. Okay, let's give a name, emit value to parent. Okay, now you see this is the button. When we click it, it should send the value to the parent. Okay, so now that we got the function, okay, now this is a function. So when we click this one, first thing, to send a value, so to get the value from the parent to child, we used @input. Right now, to send the value from child to parent, we need to use output, @output, and you can say, since we are performing some action and sending the value to the parent, so we'll call it as a event emit or some name. This name can be anything we can use, and new event emitter. You have to use event emitter to send the value to the parent, and we'll just simply send the string value to the parent. And let's import this output. So now within this, when we click that button, so this dot event emitter dot emit is a function which will send the value to the parent. So what we will send is just simply say okay, this message will send it to the parent. To get hold of this in the parent, what we need to do is, we need to, for this app child, this is a child, right? It should come through the child to the parent. So for that reason, we need to add an event. So this event name should be same as this one. Okay, otherwise it won't emit the value to the parent. So when this one is triggered, we'll handle in this particular parent. So since we are sending a value to the parent, we must use $event. So this event will get hold of the value. Okay, once we got the value, we need to print it to the parent, right? So for that, within the parent component, we should write this function, and it will get the event that is passed, which is of string. And now we can print this one. So initially we will just calling it as a message from parent. Okay, so we'll call it as a message. I'll just simply say it is empty, and this dot message equal to whatever the value that came from child, and we'll try to print this one in the parent component. Let's print it here, and we'll just say h1 just to highlight it. Let's see. Okay, capital string and small string. Let's check. This is a small string. Let's format it. It is a small string. Okay, it is a capital string. So that's why it is throwing error. Let's make them same string. Okay, now when I click this is the child. This value should come to the parent. Right now it is not visible. When I click it, if you see, this value came from child. Okay, so if you see this particular value, it is in child component. Okay, this value, when I click this button, what is happening when I click this button in the child, we are calling this particular function within this event emitter dot emit. Emit is which is sending the value out. It is pushing. Okay, whoever is subscribed to this event emitter, by default they'll get the value. Okay, who is subscribed to this event? Let's see. In the parent component, this is the parent component, and in this parent component, this is where this is where we are getting hold of that event. So we are getting hold of this event and we are calling this particular function and passing that event to this. So since we are passing this event to this, and it is here, and it will get hold of the event which is string value, and we are assigning this value to a message field, and we are using this message field to print on this particular parent component. This is how you can pass a value from a child component to the parent component. Okay, now let's see how we can pass a list of values from the child to the parent. Okay, now that when we click this one, what we will do is, instead of emitting single value, we will emit an array of values. Okay, let's say this is one value, this is second value, okay. So now that we named it as string, that's why it is not taking array. Now what we can do is, we can say this string of array. What we'll do is, we will simply say any value you can pass. Okay, we will pass this array to the parent. Now since we are passing two values, let's see how this is behaving. Okay, now we pass two values because it is just a string, it is directly printed with a message. Let's change this to pass an object kind of a thing. Okay, so now we'll say first name, last name. Now we are passing an object. Since we said any, it will accept, but in the child component, in the parent component, if you see, it will show it like an object. So we need to pass this object in the parent. So now that we go to the parent class, okay, this event, whatever the event that we, so this will, sorry, so now this handle event, this will get the object. Okay, let's put it side by side. Okay, now that we got the object here, okay, within this parent component, since this is the object, what we can do is, we can simply say event dot first name comma event dot last name. Okay, still it is throwing does not exist on a string. So this is a string that we said. Instead we'll change it to any. Now it will accept because it is not a string that we are passing from child. If you see here, we are passing an object array. Okay, let's pass the object, simple object first, then we'll pass the array. Now we are simply passing one single object. Okay, one single object. So this is the object, first name and last name we took those first name and last name out. Now you see it is printed first name and last name. Now let's check how we can pass array of objects. Now that we just passed single object, in this let's pass the array of objects. Okay, so this will be array. We'll pass one more object, John Doe is a second record. Now to get hold of this particular array of objects, it will be the same process, but overall when we receive it in the parent, this event is array. Now it's not a single field, it will fail. You see it is undefined. Okay, now what we should do is we should take this array. Okay, the event is array. So since this is array, we can directly set this array here. Okay, and we take this message. Go here, instead of, we cannot print it like this. Instead again we can go for loop. Name of message let's say name dot first name and name dot last name, and it will be printed twice because array has multiple records. First name does not exist on a type string. Okay, let's check what is it. Okay, we named this one as a string, that's why it is failing. We'll say it is array. Okay, now you see we passed the first object and second object unprinted. So this is how you can share the data from child component to the parent component. Thank you. See you in the next video.